Okay, the next person I'll be introducing, and I hope I don't butcher the name. When I was a drill sergeant, it didn't matter if I butchered it, they just agreed that was their name. So, introducing Jason Ickes, Green Beret veteran, father, Christian, Michigander, running for Congress in Michigan's 3rd District. Let's have a warm round of applause for Jason.
I appreciate it. Thank you guys for having me here. I'd like to just ask you guys questions and save you from a long, dramatic speech. The last few years, I've been traveling around the country working with grassroots organizations for the America Project, fighting to bring transparency to our election system. I've worked with Kerry Lake's investigating team on the ground out there, teams down in Florida, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Georgia, and all around. I'm running because, yes, we've got a really messed up system, but what's even more messed up is we were talking about apathy here. There's 3 things that we can do individually to help save our country, and that's commit our time, talent, or treasure. Not everybody has time, not everybody has the talent, not everybody has treasure, but if you can commit one of those 3 things, that's how we save this country. I'm doing my best by jumping into a congressional race that the RNC thought they would just throw away. And so when I did the research and looked at the data, I realized the RNC doesn't know what the heck they're doing. So I might as well take the skills that I learned as a Green Beret, do my area assessment, and build my own campaign and win that seat back. So we can have enough fighters in Congress to actually get some real legislation done. I hate saying legislation because that means more laws. I want to get as many of those laws that have been passed out of there as possible. I want to deregulate. I want to return. We need more tariffs so we can be competitive on the world stage. The reason why we're not manufacturing things here at home is because globalization and reducing tariffs. When Trump brought the trade war to China, what happened? We had all these manufacturers come back. We have so much opportunity in this country. Unfortunately, those jobs are going to end up going to a bunch of illegals that they can haphazardly just throw away. Fortunately, Trump, and I don't know if you guys pay attention today, there was 5 countries, Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Finland, and another one of the countries up in that area, all agreed to start flying out their illegals. They just today agreed they're done, no more. They're kicking them out of other countries. And that's exactly what we're going to have to do here. If we want our jobs to return to our citizens, we actually have to stand up and say, sorry, we understand that your system and your country sucks, but you need to fight for it there. I know we have a great system here, and I love that you want to be here. Absolutely. And the ones that actually go through the steps to be here legitimately, they have every right to be here because we set that system up for them. But the rest that decided to come through illegally, well, I'm sorry about your bad luck, but try again next time. Next time, try to do it the right way. We also need to punish all of these criminals that have enabled this system. I don't know if you guys are aware or not, but there's an organization called Ickes. It's a banking institution that the Bidens, I believe, own about 8.5% of. And this is where all of the money that the illegals are getting is going through so they can send it back home so they can pay off their safe passage. This is the cartel's payoff money. They are literally making money off of an open border, off of compromising our nation. Absolutely.
What's the bank name again?
Ickes. I posted the stuff on my Twitter, or X as it's called now. But we have a handful of fighters. Matt Gaetz is one. across this country who are actually standing up and saying no more. No more to the establishment system, the globalist system that doesn't benefit us, that destroys our country, our values, our system. And I'm looking to reinforce the rest of the team that's already there. I'm one of a group of Green Berets that are running across the country in swing districts, and some where we need to take it from a rather globalist, elitist rhino. But across the country, we have Green Berets fighting to take these seats back so we can restore our constitutional values and system. I went on a whole tangent there, but I wanted to ask you guys questions because I don't have an opportunity very often to be in front of a conservative audience, generally speaking. So I would love to hear from the people that I want to represent. I know you guys are in my district, but at the end of the day, you're the people who I share the most values with, so I value your opinions. Yes, sir?
About a month ago, I took concern to our county commissioners. I grew up back in the 60s. I grew up back in the 1960s. I remember Tet Offensive in 1968. We had about 200,000 North Vietnamese coming down dressed as Southern Vietnamese, and we killed about 150,000 of them, but we lost a lot of people in the Tet Offensive in 1968. My concern has been watching the Red Chinese coming over our borders with no families from 18 to 30, and these are military men, and we have all the other people from Iran and whatever coming here. What I brought to the county commissioners was we need to take a look at this, because I think we're going to have the same thing happen here, the Tet Offensive like we had in '68. A week later, we saw Israel be attacked. Okay? That's what's going on right now in Israel. We have no control over our county here. I asked the county commissioners to take a look at this, and we got to figure out, and all our military people here, how we're going to protect our county from what's going to be happening here. You know they're going to do this before the election, because COVID's over, and we're not going to do that again. So they just, four of them just kind of looked at me, and just, I said, "You got any questions?" They said, "Well, we don't do questions here. You just tell us things." I said, "In this situation, I think it's one of these things we should sit down and talk about, because we have a sheriff here that I have no faith in. It's gutless, and the sheriff should be doing militia here on that, but he's gutless." And they just looked at me. So this blood's on them. If we have a problem, they come into Hillsdale, we are targeted. Hillsdale's targeted because of Hillsdale College. And they'll burn this town down in 2 hours. I saw a fire happen in Jonesville with one of the restaurants there. It took 5 fire departments to put it out, and that whole town burned to the ground. Because our buildings are 150 years old, and they will burn. And these people will come in and burn their homes and burn their cities down and kill us. Just like they're doing in Israel, what they did in Israel. So this is a concern to me, and my question to you is, being a Green Beret, how many other military people are retired from your era that maybe we start looking to our own militias in each county?
Well, that's a great question, because you want to know something? I was just last week with a fellow Green Beret in Texas, and he got booted from the service for not getting the vaccine. And he took it upon himself, as soon as he found out about what was going on the border, to form a 200-man militia. They have been donated money to equip pickup trucks with FLIR systems, and they have stood up a militia that is augmenting the border patrol. The areas where they cannot cover down, the militia is filling the void. This is going on right now. And so to answer your question, we are already organizing. Men of my caliber, from my class, we're not sitting down taking this lightly. We are very much not happy with what's going on, and we are absolutely standing up against this tyranny. So these people think that they can get away with this. One, we've been observing them. We've set up camera systems across the border. We've monitored a significant number. We've thwarted some attacks already that have completely flown under the radar. People don't even know about. There is efforts. The scary thing is that there's so many coming across that we can't monitor them all. That's the scary part. And the FBI just finally admitted that they don't have the capacity for the ones that did get through. That's terrifying.
You're too busy investigating us.
Exactly. And that's what I've been pointing out as well.
What do you think about the new speaker?
I love them.
Yes.
My question is that we're spending so much time focusing on the southern border. Why do we only have one northern governor? Because Canada doesn't give a crap about us. Why are we focusing also on the northern border? Because that is so easy to get across.
You're right. Unfortunately, and fortunately, the United States Canadian border has, among the long stretches of land, there's numerous surveillance measures that people have absolutely no understanding of that are in place. We're talking, there's thermal sensors. No, battery died. We have thermal sensors, we have cameras, we have motion detection, vibration. There's all sorts of stuff in the odd, spread out, far disparate parts of the border. The problems are the ports of entry. The problems are the people who are getting paid off at the ports of entry, that we know are getting paid off, that we report them for getting paid off in letting these people through, and the higher ups let them get away with it. The accountability at the higher echelons in our government is completely failing. That's why I've been calling for impeachment of Director Ray, Alejandro Mayorkas, and Merrick Garland.
Yes.
They've let us down, and they've let us down repeatedly. Even if nothing comes of it, we have to put the pressure. If we don't show that we're serious about our security, then of course they're not going to be serious about our security. We have to start holding these people accountable. And at the very least, we have to put their feet to the fire.
On another issue related to security, what's your position about CBDCs?
Central bank digital currencies are, I'm a crypto advocate, first of all. I'm not a CBDC advocate. I believe that the free market should decide. So a controlled currency like what is implemented in China is not what I believe should be. But in some respects, we kind of already have a central bank digital currency. The vast majority of our currency is not printed. Only just under $3 trillion is actually printed currency. Did you know that? Only $3 trillion. So if we have over 30 trillion, that's 10 times what's actually printed. That's digital. It's all digital. It's all funny money. So you're already living, people on credit cards and all of that, that's all digital. It's all fake. It's all funny money, folks. The vast majority of your money is already digital. You're already in a CBDC. They already tell you whether or not you can get a loan, right? All of the stuff that we're worried about them ushering in with the CBDC, they're already doing it. It's already here. That is literally just one step away. It's like the step from socialism to communism, right? They're like sisters. I believe that means.
Follow on to that. Do you have any sense from your travels around the country as to the degree that bank accounts in the U.S. have been turned off on people like they have been in Canada?
Yes. As a matter of fact, the organization that I worked for, the America Project, we couldn't get a bank account. They wouldn't let us actually open a bank account because we were investigating election fraud, and they didn't like that. We actually finally found a banking institution that will let us open a bank account because the guy was a Marine. He said, screw him. Literally said, I don't care. come shut my bank down, I dare you. And they tried, and he won, so we still exist today. But we went through, I think, 3 or 4 different banks that wouldn't let us bank. So I have a direct personal comment to that one, reference. But yeah, it's happening in the United States. This is all here, folks. It's not like this is just in Canada or in China. We're living the tyranny. The movie The Police State that just came out with Dinesh D'Souza, that put it, we're in this situation. Look, they went after the attorneys. Attorneys have extraordinary protections because everybody has a right to defense. And an attorney, you're afforded under the law. If you cannot afford one will be appointed to you, right?
Not in Hillsdale. Well, not a good one.
Well, that typically, right, yeah. But the point is that they're supposed to afford the attorney, even if they don't want to take your case, you're afforded that attorney. When they go after attorneys, they're saying, no, you don't even get representation. You don't even get an incompetent representation. You get none. You got to figure it out. How messed up is that? You think we have a constitution in this country? No, they've been wiping their butt with it for the last, who knows how long, really, but
120 years.
yeah, exactly, at least 100. But we're just really waking up, people. We're just really finally getting to the point where we're fed up. They boiled the frog a little too quickly this year. You know, it's gotten to that point where we're really saying, all right, this is too much. This is too much, can't take it anymore. So the apathy, we need to shed it. 3 things: time, talent, and treasure. If you don't have treasure, commit your time. If you can't commit your time, commit some talent. If you can put together some cookies, you can make a chili, or set up an event, offer a venue, bring people together. The one thing that the other side does not have is humanity. They do not have any humanity. When we come together, we win every single time, and that's why we had chants in stadiums. FJB, right? We win when we get together. Yes, sir.
Just to add what John Beck was talking about with Hillsdale being vulnerable, back when Saddam invaded Kuwait, I was remodeling a guy's house, and I was privy to a conversation he was having with Lansing, trying to bring some military hardware down here on standby because the Ayatollah Khomeini's 2 sons were at Hillsdale College.
Well, yeah, they're here, folks. I'm not going to say that every Muslim's a bad person. I think probably at least 50% of them are Muslim because they're told they're Muslim. Much like many Catholics or even Christians, they're not practicing, so it's a dangerous road to travel down to put everyone in one bucket. But there's definitely people who want to destroy us, and not all of them are Muslim. Some of them are actually cartel members that believe that this land was stolen from them. Some of them are just extremist cartel members. We're not just dealing with Muslim extremists.
You forgot about the Americans that are sitting in Congress and the Senate.
Right, Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib.
How about bad girls? McConnell.
Oh yeah, selling us out to China. Yeah, we got plenty.
Yeah, we got lots of them.
We've got plenty. We got plenty in our backyard. As a matter of fact, your Congresswoman, Alyssa Slotkin.
Oh, she's not ours.
You may not claim her, but she is currently representing you. So she signed an NDA. You guys already know. I'm probably preaching to the choir on this one.
She's not our district. Tim Olbert's our district.
Oh, okay.
Tim Albrecht didn't.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, hold on, right here. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Whitmer here. She's been selling our property off to China. She's been doing all the crap that she's doing, but yet she keeps getting away with it. How come the ones that are supposed to be in charge of here, why aren't they impeaching her or getting her, trying to get her out of office?
Have you heard the video recording where, well, we got two. We got Geyer's recording, and then you've got a statement by Dana Nessel saying she can't prosecute her friends. It would disrupt her Sunday brunch. So you have willful incompetence and intentional obstruction of justice that is constantly going on at the highest echelons in government in this state. So when people ask, how do we fix this? In Michigan is a very exceptional case because we're run by three witches ultimately. And it's unfortunately, yeah. Oh, hold on.
So, I know you're going into a hornet's nest, lion's den, whatever you want to call it, in Lansing, and we see it be very uncooperative for Republicans in the House and Senate.
Mm-hmm.
So, what is your strategy for going in there when there is zero hope right now of any Republican bill getting passed?
So I'm running for Congress, not state legislator. So unfortunately, the state is SOL right now. The Republicans in the state legislature here are up against insurmountable odds. They don't have any countermeasures. Their ammunition is depleted, and it's going to come down to local action. The few sheriffs actually holding people accountable is what's going to start snowballing this thing. And there's been a few people who have already been charged with crime related to ballot harvesting and paying for elections here in the state that have flown under the radar. I don't know if everyone here has heard about them or not. One was in Wayne County. And then there's also additional charges that they can no longer sweep under the rug, that they're going to have to prosecute because too many people know about them. So there's going to be more stuff coming out in this state, and that is going to apply some pressure that hopefully allows us to win some of these elections so we can actually have a chance at changing some of that. But also, I'll just say it. We got a lawsuit, I'm on it. Donna Brandenburg, whatever you think of her, she's also on it. Election Integrity Force is on it. Because she was running in the governor's race, she has damages in the 2022 election. The 2022 election, there was a recount held in 560 precincts across the state. There was help from several other organizations to staff this. They tried to intimidate and prevent us from actually conducting this recount. The recount, where it was conducted, 40% of those precincts, they wouldn't even let us see the ballots. There was either broken seals, chain of custody, or there was ballots loose. They could not recount them legitimately. 40% out of the 560 precincts. This last election cycle, 2022, is not conducted lawfully or legally. And we're dropping this lawsuit. It's supposed to have already been dropped. It'll probably drop either today, tomorrow, or beginning of next week. But we have to hold them accountable. And folks, the more evidence that comes out and the more this gets exposed, they have to admit, sooner or later, something's going to have to break. So we're going to keep the pressure up.
Good, just a couple of things to bring it home. Going to what Dennis said with Whitmer and the Chinese. You realize the law firm that's suing us is the only law firm that is filed FARA that is actually advocating for the communist Chinese in Lansing. That same group gave campaign money to our state rep, who is one of the ones suing us. He wants to run for Supreme Court. Just keep this in mind. The other thing is the most important position you can ever elect locally is the sheriff. Dar Leaf is the only constitutional Sheriff and Peace Officers Association member from Berry County in Michigan. He has been sued by Dana Nessel. They've gone after him. They've tried to make his life a living hell. But the man stands for what's right. Your sheriff is the only one. He is the only one that has state authority, but works for the people, not the government. And I'm not saying that because I'm running for sheriff, because if I can find anybody else that can run, I'll give you all my support. But we need constitutional sheriffs. That's what we need.
Do you guys also elect your prosecutors?
Yes. Well, they're selected for us.
Right. So George Soros, you've probably heard this name, he actually prioritized prosecutors, secretaries of state, governors. He went through the system. They prioritized, this was just 20 years ago that they really developed this system, got really good at it. But they prioritized prosecutors intentionally because they knew where they could use and manipulate the law, they could win all the rest of the races and it wouldn't matter.
More return for their money.
That's right. That's right. So
They sound like conservatives.
judges and prosecutors are so crucially important. It's one of the things that we don't pay enough attention to. We need to recruit better judges, and we need to actually identify people who can be prosecutors that actually will prosecute the law. Because this stuff that the Soros goons in place have conducted now is lawfare, and it's meant to destroy this country. Yes, sir.
What's your Christian point of view?
In regards to
God.
God,
Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior. I'm born again Christian. I grew up in a hard life, and I chose to be baptized at 6 years old, and I followed that path since then. So that's where I'm at. But I'm also mostly an open book too. So if you have any other questions, yes, sir.
What's your opinion on military foreign aid?
Military foreign aid.
Particularly to the Bangladesh, Ukrainians, the Zionist Israelis, and the
So,
Taiwanese.
So I will say, in regards to be relevant to today's bill, the speaker just proposed, he tried playing some trickery on him. He tried taking the $14.6 billion out of the IRS's budget for their additional 87,000 agents that they weren't going to do. And McCarthy promised he wasn't going to let happen, right? But he gave them the money anyway. So Johnson said, okay, you want to give money to Israel? No problem. We'll just take it from the IRS. So he took the $14.6 billion that's already allocated, that they already committed to expanding the IRS, said, hey, we're not going to increase the debt at all. But we're going to take it from the IRS and we'll give it to Israel. Is that okay with you, Biden? Biden said, no, that's not okay with me. You have to do that. So they're playing chicken with it, right? They're playing chicken. So I love it. I love the fact that he's playing aggressively, and he's doing it in a way that exposes McCarthy's failures. Because this is what we have to do. We have to expose the fake conservatives, these people that say, oh, we support Trump, but then they're stabbing them in the back. And the people that say they're for the Constitution, but they've never read it in their life. This is what we're up against, but we have to expose him. We do it through very clever tactics like that. Yes, sir.
How do we find you online? And just to remind everybody, when you find him online, make sure you like and follow his content. It really helps with the algorithm.
Yes, I appreciate that so much. I'm on Twitter or X as Ickes 4, the number 4 Congress. So it's at Ickes number 4 Congress. And then I'm on Facebook. I just got that all stood up. That's Jason Ickes. You can, I'll friend anybody. I'll open book again. And then I've got a page as well, Ickes for Congress, Ickes number 4 Congress. My website is jasonikes.com. Yes, sir?
I was wondering about your opinion on foreign military aid specifically.
Oh, yes. So,
Ukrainians, Israelis, and the Taiwanese.
I was a 10 Special Forces Group soldier, which means my area of responsibility was counter Russia. So Some of the guys that I was sending over into to Ukraine were actually training to try to recapture Crimea. So I have a pretty personal relationship into understanding some of that money. And some of that money doesn't actually go to those countries. It goes to our soldiers, training them, so we can fly them into third countries and train them and stuff like that. In those regards, I think limited budgets are fine, but $200 billion? Get the heck out of here. This is ridiculous. The entirety of NATO's budget, a quarter of our national annual defense budget? No, I'm not for that in any regard. We do need to work with our partner forces with integration and capabilities, and there is a legitimate reason for that. But outside of that, which you don't need billions of dollars for, trust me, $10 million is enough to do multiple training exercises throughout the year with multiple branches. You don't need billions and billions of dollars. We tend to lose the sense of scale of economy because our nation is so, was so wealthy, right? Just throw tens of billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars. Nobody even can distinguish what the difference is anymore. It's ridiculous.
So from that, I'm assuming you're for assisting those countries, just not supplying them with weapons and paying the salaries of their government officials, but you're okay with sending advisors over to help train them?
Right, I am all for helping them establish systems. For example, we stood up, one of my deployments was in Africa. We were actually helping them count the Lord's Resistance Army. As Title 22 funds that were being used, which is foreign aid, we were using that to help stand up their military to be competent enough to resist a local militia is what it was, a child army, right? But yes, in that regard, I am for those funds to help stand up countries' ability to protect themselves and to have legitimate systems. Because, let's face it, there's plenty of despotic systems around this world, whether they're kings or they're caliphates, whatever it is. We do need to educate and help stand up legitimate, I think, republics or systems that are comparable to our own that we can work with.
Do you believe a lot of that money is basically laundered and comes back to people that are against us?
The big guy?
10% for the big guy? Yeah.
Something like that.
Well, with the situation, with a lot of the defense dollars that are being spent, especially when you start going into the billions, there is a significant portion of them, of that money that does get funneled back into campaigns, particular Democrat campaigns, but also Republican campaigns. And we can look to SBF Sam Bankman-Fried and the whole FTX debacle there. Where's that money coming from? It's all this fractional reserve lending, fake banks in the Bahamas and stuff of that nature. But where was a lot of that coming from? It was crypto companies and stuff of that nature based out of Ukraine, companies that were setting up all of these different shell entities that was funneled back from the front, from the war front, back into our own political system to be used and weaponized against us. And we can talk about that in respect to Ukraine, as Ukraine's shutting down. But if we look back, do we really already forget about COVID? Do you remember how many trillions, not billions, trillions of dollars were spent on PPP loans? Does anybody know the number of dollars that was fraudulently found in the state of Michigan? $2 billion to fraudulent COVID claims. That's before they stopped talking about it. So $2 billion. I mean, that's what we gave tax breaks on China's plant. The Ford one was what, 800 million? Something like that? And $2 billion, we just pissed that away during COVID. We don't even know who's got, actually, it turned out a bunch of people are driving Ferraris in India. Yes, sir?
What about sending military arms to Taiwan? You never answered, you never talked about that.
Oh, Taiwan. Taiwan, we're training the Taiwanese military. We've trained with the, right here in Grayling.
Well, I'm talking about.
I'm all for that.
At the squad level, I'm talking internationally. Our government, the Chinese government, the Taiwanese government.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on that? Should we send to Taiwan arms?
Well,
a country that their own State Department recognizes as part of China.
I think we do need to, right now, you have to understand the environment of what is in Taiwan and why Taiwan is so important. The geopolitical implications is if Taiwan is captured, 80 to 90% of all semiconductors are produced in Taiwan. We will not have the capability or capacity in order to conduct even defensive military operations without semiconductors. When we want to talk about, the brink of World War III, if Taiwan goes down, it's a matter of months before we're fighting with sticks and stones. Okay, so at what point do people, they're like, all right, we're just gonna start lobbing nukes. We have to realize that Taiwan is critically important for that. Now we've got 5 chip manufacturing plants, 3 of them already online, 2 more are coming online. 1 will be online next year, 1 later this year. But all of the raw materials come from China. So if we're at war with China, then we're still not making chips. And they have access to them. So that is why Taiwan is critical. That's why we have to protect Taiwan until we can get on our own 2 feet and set up our own supply chain networks. So right now is extremely critical to our national security to ensure that Taiwan remains independent.
Yeah, I think to the semiconductor and chips argument, everyone wants to prop up Taiwan, but there's nothing special about them. It's not like it's a crop or something where if we just cut the regulations, why don't we make the stuff here? And I think that's, instead of starting World War III with China or whatever, we just brought the things here. That's their problem over there.
Right, so the crux of the matter is the last thing I said, which is your rare earth minerals that are required for the semiconductor production. We only produce 8 or 9 of them locally in the United States and not in capacity of the right ones to sustain manufacturing capacity in the United States. We rely on Australia and Argentina to complete the supply chain. That has to actually be solid for us to be able to sustain ourselves. And at that point, we can say whatever to Taiwan. But until that happens, it is kind of the crux of our entire national security because we rely on technology, not numbers, right? China has numbers, Malaysia has numbers, Indonesia has numbers, India has numbers. We don't have numbers compared to these people, folks. We have technology, and if our technology fails us, we're screwed. So.
Yeah, there's 2 things, because this is the industry that I work in. So a lot of people don't know, if you would pass through Detroit or some other cities that manufacture the F-150s, and you used to see cornfields just littered with F-150s just sitting there. That's because they were all waiting on chips. They had sat there for so long that mice got into the wires and ate all the wires, and they had to literally destroy hundreds of thousands of F-150s because they couldn't get the semiconductors. So the largest semiconductor plant is supposed to be not even done for 5 more years, which I believe is in North Carolina. So back to your point, they just found the largest, I don't know what the mineral is, and I think it's Wyoming. And Biden said no, not shut it down.
Yeah. There's also other areas that we can open up, especially in the UP. In our state, I would love for us to be able to do a couple of really amazing things. Open the spaceport in the UP back up, so we can start launching space missions. SpaceX launched our satellites from the UP. There's a NASA base. We used to launch satellites from there. I think we should open that back up and start getting that going again. Then we have a bunch of mines up in the UP. We have all these tailing pits that have plenty of trace metals that we have done research on, that the science is out there, but it's completely hidden on. And they don't want us going and digging back into those. So there's plenty of other options out there. You're right, it comes down to regulation, and then the fact of the matter is we have a regime in charge that's undermining our national security.
Are you aware of the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021, where billions of dollars was sent out to townships and cities from the federal government, filtered or funneled through the state, where in order to receive those funds, the townships and the cities have to agree to comply with all applicable federal statutes, regulations, and executive orders?
Well, I would say I'm not enough aware of all of the intricacies. I have heard it, I haven't read it, but it's not foreign concept to me. The way that the federal government controls our municipalities, our elections, or actually it is our election systems and our education systems, is through monetary extortion. Through these acts, they say, hey, here, you want new voting machines? Not a problem. We'll pay for them. Here's the money. Right? Oh, hey, you want to build new schools? We'll give you a grant. But by the way, all these things are attached. So it's the exact same system of tacking on. You can have the money, but it requires you to comply with what they want.
Under the terms and agreements for the American Rescue Plan funds, whoever signed for those funds has to also has agreed to cause us to comply with those federal statutes, regulations, and executive orders. So with the recent shooting in Lewiston, Maine, Kamala Harris, who is in charge of gun safety for this country, has hinted at Australian-style gun confiscation. And when those funds were distributed, I stood up publicly as a trustee for Moscow Township and started telling people that if we have to obey all applicable statutes, regulations, and executive orders, that means their land, their guns, their vehicles, everything could be controlled and eliminated by an executive order. And nobody believed me, but it's right there in black and white, the terms and conditions, and we have this hanging over us right now. And as it stands, they want to get rid of gas stoves, anything with carbon. But basically, the Bill of Rights has been bypassed by the acceptance of these ARPA funds. And nobody seems to care or nobody even understand what has happened.
About 3 or 4 of our townships didn't accept ARPA funds out of 18.
Yeah, I'm from Ottawa County, and they went into investigating the ARPA funds up there. We swept, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Ottawa Impact, we swept the county commissioner board. We took 9 seats over, and the first act that we had committed to doing was investigating the ARPA funds that they had taken, which was somewhere on the order of $54 million. As soon as they threatened that, by the end or before that election, they had allocated all of the funds, even though they weren't necessarily required to be allocated until 2026. So they went and made sure that they spent every penny of those allocated funds before the new commission would be seated.
You bet.
So now we're uncovering all of the dirty gains and all the dirty expenses, and so the Ottawa County commissioners are hard at work uncovering all of that, but also John Gibbs, who ran for this seat and lost, he's our county administrator. So we lost that seat, and we actually won a great county administrator who's been doing a good job of digging into all of this stuff, all this dirty shenanigans that they've been playing. And this is how we learn how the nefarious side runs the system and runs the game, right? When we start taking charge and we start evaluating and breaking it all down. It takes time. It takes time, folks, to uncover this and to work on repairing our system.
So at our county commissioners meeting, I'm in Branch County, and at our commissioners meeting, the working meeting 2 weeks ago, and then they brought it to a vote, they talked about the Michigan Public Service Commission, the unelected 3-member commission by Governor Whitmer that gives them control to come in and basically determine where all the solar and wind farms go in the state. And it takes the control completely out of the local governments. Completely out of their control. so our commissioners and it's crazy. I was completely shocked, for those of you who know, that we had an unsuccessful bid to run through a constitutional county. So
They don't know, Karen.
in that effort, we uncovered the fake ones, right? They all five claim to be conservative Republicans, and we had 1 vote for it, 4 vote against it.
Including Tom Matthews, that's running for state rep
Including,
for this district. He's one of the guys that voted no on that.
just so you all know. So, when it came time to vote on this resolution, I was shocked that they all voted in support of saying, no, we refuse this takeover, right? Because somehow the 4 did not believe in the Constitution enough to vote for constitutional county. But I was pleased to see that, but that does not preclude these. The legislature has 4 bills going through the House.
Are you talking about the ones that were just passed last
Yeah,
night?
and then the ones going through the Senate, right?
Yeah.
For this type of thing. And, I don't know how the other counties are doing this. I don't know if you guys have had a
As a
resolution.
matter of fact, I put forth a resolution opposing that bill for the solar and wind power takeover.
Yeah.
And we did successfully accept that resolution.
Unanimous?
No.
What?
We had one that abstained from it.
Who was that?
Who was it?
Brad Benzing,
They got that suing us.
the guy I thought would take it up.
Because he's gaining benefit from it.
Unreal.
That's accountability right there, is posting those resolutions. You need to distribute that. There's several websites and several different groups that are doing voting guides, and that's how you hold accountable, is through voting guides. You say, hey, look, this guy's clearly all about taking the money and not about protecting the people. So if you've got that kind of stuff going on, you make sure that you get with these groups that are doing the voter guides and you tell them these things, because that's one of the ways you amplify this message, especially in your county. But also if they try to, oh, I'm no longer attainable in this county, I'm gonna go run for an office over here somewhere else in the state, it follows them because it's already made public.
Okay, so just to be clear, Tom Matthews, who is going for Andrew Fink's position, voted no on the constitutional county. So you've heard me say it once.
Didn't he run as a Democrat once?
Yes, he ran for Senate in Ohio, and he got 23% of the vote.
So there you go. Like I was saying, if they no longer become attainable in one jurisdiction, they go to another. Yes, sir?
Change parties. I'm the oldest person in the party, 51 years. Been part of the Republican Party. My mom took me up to Detroit in 1972, kicking and screaming, and she made me a delegate to the state convention. I got into the convention and said, hey, this is good to me. Kind of like this Brooks. But what I'm saying is this: I don't know anybody in this county who is a Democrat that won a position. Can anybody fill in? This is 51 years. This is a Republican county. But the percentage of people that control this county are Democrats who run as Republicans. We gotta stop this. The R is a trademark, and it's the Republican Party that decides who can run on their ticket. We gotta get back to that. They took that away from us in 1972. So anybody can run. Anybody can run as a Republican in Hillsdale. You know these are damn Democrats are doing it. We need to kick them in the butt. Kick them out of the county completely. I'm still picking up and doing it.
Stand up for what's right.
Hey, John, do you want to name me?
John is the chairman of the county commissioners. He is a Democrat because we have it on paper that he says, well, I'm really a Democrat, but I run as a Republican. These are the bastards that we got to put up with.
Yeah, and in some areas, we've actually recruited people to run as Democrats, so be careful. We do ask, there are conservative people who know that they can't win unless they're carrying a D behind their name. So we actually are working to plant people in jurisdictions where we know they mark the D column only, and those people end up winning. So we're trying to do the same strategy, crossing over. there are people out there doing the same thing. So,
Thank you for coming out, man.
yeah, you got it. Yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate it. I'll hand this back.
Thank you.